Hello guys and welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Dice. Once again, I'm not Kev, it's Vince with another RPG review. Excuse me. This week I'm reviewing Judge Dredd and the Worlds of 2000 AD made by EN Publishing. For those who haven't heard of Judge Dredd, or indeed 2000 AD, they first came out in 1977. 2000 AD is a British sci-fi comic. It featured a variety of stories, including our titular Judge Dredd. It was a comic book that my brother used to read, and I would sneak away from him to read the amazing sci-fi tales set in Mega City 1, and the various colonies and worlds of Strontium Dog, Rogue Trooper, and the ABC Warriors as well. By far, my favourite was always Judge Dredd, and one of my biggest regrets is that I never got to play the original Judge Dredd role-playing game, which was released by Games Workshop in the 80s. This was essentially a reskin of their Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, using very much the same mechanics with very little difference to try and capture the vagaries of Mega City 1 and the uniqueness that is Judge Dredd. My first real experience of a Judge Dredd RPG was with the 2002 release by Mongoose Publishing. Mongoose. It used the D20 system, which required you to have a copy of the D&D 3rd edition Player's Handbook, which you would think would have freed up a lot of space in the book to make sure it was ready to go from the outset. This was around the time that Mongoose seemed to be churning out RPG books by their dozens. In just 7 years, the game received 14 expansions and supplement books, as well as regular articles that added to the game in their magazine. Now, as I said, you'd think that the book would be fully rounded, but their eye wasn't on the ball. The book was littered with placeholder text, spelling mistakes. One page spelled Dredd's name wrong several times on it. You'd think you would know the name of the character that you're theming your whole role-playing game around. Whatever. And it was missing essential rules or equipment needed to play the game, such as the Lawmaster, you know, that essential vehicle that all judges drive, like all street judges drive around in while on. In 2009, Mongoose took another punt at the Judge Dredd RPG. This time it was using a traveller system. I'll be totally honest here, I didn't even buy that. I'd sworn off Mongoose by that time. I've been burned by several of their games over the years. I wish Judge Dredd had just been a one-off, but it wasn't. It seemed to be a running theme. Now fast forward to modern day and this gorgeously sexy offering from EN Publishing, using the Woan system, what's old is new. You basically make a pool of D6 and try to beat a set target number. Simple as. There's obviously a few vagaries of it, and a bit more to it, but we'll cover a bit of that as we get into the review. Now, before we get into the meat of the review, I do have to preface it with the people at EN Publishing have been absolutely amazing for us. We backed this game at Kickstarter. However, there was a problem on Kickstarter's end with the way the app had updated at the time, and bits and pieces like that. And basically, the payment wasn't processed, and we were removed as backers because we failed to pay in their eyes. Now, that meant that after a while, when EN was saying, "Oh, everyone who's backed the game should now have their copies," we were like, "We haven't got ours." They then investigated, found out what had happened, and then they sent us this copy to apologise, effectively for something that wasn't their fault. It's really nice of them. So, kudos to them. But that said, if you've read any of the reviews on my blog, you'll know I don't let things like that influence my reviews. I do state outright if we've been given a copy to review, and I'll do that with some of the other games that I'm going to review. I'll mention, this was a review copy that I was sent. But as I said, I don't let it influence my reviews. My reviews are my opinions of the game, not affected by whether I've paid for it or not. Okay? Now, this is the cover. of Judge Dredd in the world of 2000 AD. It's gorgeous. It automatically sums up and evokes images of Judge Dredd. If it doesn't, you're dead inside. And for some reason, as I've said on PDFs, you always tend to get the back cover immediately after the front cover. Don't know why, possibly something to do with the way that the artwork is done for it and the contents and layout is set up and whatever. I don't do it, I don't know. But welcome to the world of 2000 AD. Voyage into the far future in this versatile tabletop game of science fiction adventure. And versatile it is. You can play as judges, clones, robots or citizens. The book's focused on the megacities and their surroundings, but there is information on the other 2000 AD settings within the book, meaning you can adapt the rules to fit what you need at a push. They are planning on releasing a core book for each of the worlds as well. The book, just skip to the contents page, consists of 10 chapters and a nice appendix. Sadly, the contents page isn't hyperlinked, which does make it a bit harder to navigate mid-play. I think I expressed my enthusiasm for hyperlinked games in my last review with the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. It just makes it so much easier. You know, if you know where your contents page is and it's hyperlinked, you just scoot, click, go. As it is, you then got to go, well, okay, so I need to be on chapter 5. I need to look at the rules for countdowns, which is page 136, but actually, you know, we've got 2 additional pages, so it's 138, so I've got to scoot to that. It's much easier if it's hyperlinked. Game publishers out there, if you're watching and listening, please hyperlink. It just makes my life so much easier. Before we go further than this contents page, we're going to take a little break. I'm going to wet my whistle, wash my hands, obviously, remain indoors, stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Hello guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your little break. I did. I wet my whistle, washed my hands, and I'm ready to continue with this review. If you've been outside on your 1 hour of government mandated exercise a day, make sure you wash your hands, stay safe. You know, we don't want to spread that virus. So chapter 1 is a short introduction chapter, gives you a good background of Judge Dredd in 2000 AD and the sort of things you need to play the game. We've got this gorgeous little call-out box here from the perspective of Dredd himself. Nice bit on role-playing in the world of 2000 AD. Rule 0, GMs have the final say. GM is God. I love these little chapter overviews here with the comic book style artwork. They're great. They tell you exactly what's going to happen in each page, in each chapter. And those pictures are just gorgeous, absolutely lovely. Our example of play here is done in the style of Judge Dredd, the magazine story. It transported me back straight away to being a kid, sneaking the magazines away and eagerly reading them from cover to cover. I was squeeing internally at how much I love this. It's great. It really sets the scene. It shows you how to do it. It's fab. We then get a brief glossary of core terms for the game. So, you know, attributes, benchmarks, countdown pool, your dice pool, exploits, your grade, species, things like that. And then this final little paragraph here about setting the tone. Judge Dredd in the world of 2000 AD is designed to fit a wide range of science fiction styles from the comics. You can get grand space operas, gritty hard sci-fi. There's going to be forthcoming books for the various popular comic strips. So basically, whatever your favourite 2000 AD setting, you'll be able to find that you can easily play it with this game. In the Judge Dredd setting, which this book is about, you'll be able to run campaigns for a party of perps, group of judges, or as lowly citizens trying to survive the main streets of the megacity. Chapter 2 gives us an overview of the different worlds created within the pages of the 2018 comics. Get a short few paragraphs about each of the 20 non-Dredd settings presented alphabetically. Gives a promising future for the game line. Some of these settings are all favourites of mine, others new to me, but have all sparked my imagination. The artwork is gorgeous. I mean, just look at that suave bastard, Nikolai Dante. What a man. What a guy. It's, you know, if you're familiar with the comics, you'll be familiar with these. If you're not familiar with the comics, it gives you a little bit of information about them. Have a read through. If there's one there that you like the look of and think, oh God, I can't wait for that to come out, then, you know, it gives you something to look forward to whilst also enjoying this game and playing Judge Dredd. There's literally no messing about in this book. We're only 18 pages in, and we're already on the character creation. Creating your characters is relatively simple. It's a 9-step process, as you can see there, your character creation walkthrough. It's a great way to provide an overview of your character, which is the descriptor here. So the descriptor is a single sentence that tells everyone what or who your character is. So for example, just using the descriptor creation method, I came up with a few different characters that you could make. So you could have Indigo Jones, a young seductive human journalist who doesn't let facts get in the way of a good story. Or Amadeus T. Wallbody, an old ponderous orangutan fence who always has an eye for a bargain. In Dredd, you've got a choice of one of 7 different species. Let me just find where the species are. There we go. Is robot actually a species though? Well, maybe. But your options are humans, clones, mutants, robots, chimps, gorillas, or orangutans. Yep, you can be a chimp or a gorilla or an orangutan. Got one thing to say. Ook. You then choose 5 careers that your character has. The last being your current career that you're in, I guess. There's a nice handy mutation table spread across 2 pages for all of your mutant tentacled needs. Judge characters are slightly different, it is worth pointing out. Let's just quickly skip to the judge organization table. As you can see, there's quite a few different careers that you can choose from, and they each add a number of years to your base age for your character creation. Citizen careers, perp careers, and then once we get to them eventually, because there are literally loads of them. The judge. So, at the age of 18, you have finished being a cadet. You then choose some advancements from the green section before you become a rookie. You then go down the route of either street judge, med judge, tech judge, side judge, and choose your specialties. Great comic book style example of character creation too, which helps make it really easy and simple to follow. Let me just try and find that for you. I've not already skipped past it, which I may have, sorry, because I did very quickly go through that. So here. There Ooh, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. The screen's a little bit sensitive. Yeah, comic book style, character creation. Absolutely phenomenal. Makes it relatively pain-free. Before we go on to chapter 4, a bit of a peek there, we're going to take a pause just for easy chunking of the video for Kev when it comes to editing, because I don't know how to edit. Stuff that. I'm the wordy person, Kev's the techie person. Alright? So I have a bit of a break, maybe another drink, just to keep my throat. Welcome back. I've checked my time. I'm about a quarter of the way through what I'm allowed. Well, 16 minutes to be precise. Who's counting? Obviously Kev. Not me. Hope you were safe. It remained indoors if necessary. Chapter 4 takes us to the equipment. I'm not going to lie, I did immediately skip ahead to make sure the rules for the Lawmaster were in here, what with it being a significant piece of kit for a judge. Unlike the previous version of the game, which didn't include them, other than a call-out box directing you to turn to page XX. Mentioning no names, mongoose. We'll start off with another fantastic comic-style introduction told from the perspective of Judge Morris, going through her equipment check before taking the streets of Mega City 1. Moves on to explain general gear, jumped ahead a little bit there. Example salaries for civilians and perps. None of it's really particularly new to seasoned role players, but it's still worth a read because obviously it's kind of angled towards the Judge Dredd type stuff. And if you're familiar with EN games, like EN publishing other RPGs, it's not overly dissimilar. So it's always worth bearing that in mind. Some equipment in here that will be familiar to readers of Judge Dredd, such as the hilariously awesome Boing. It's a miracle spray to encase a single individual in Boing. Are so cocooned and they are nearly impervious to harm. They can bounce off any object they hit. Boing is banned anywhere outside of the Palais de Boing, with severe penalties for those using it. Anyone encased in Boing gains a soak of 20. Wow. And become immune to all falling damage. Unfortunately, not the people you bounce onto. There's also things like rocket packs, jet packs, which are there. Recreational jetpacks. How awesome is that? Gotta love this game. Gotta love Judge Dredd. It's absolutely brilliant. And also the wonderful Lazookas. You may have skipped a little bit past there. Yep. Well, if you don't know what a Lazooka is, well, what are you doing with yourself? Because really you should. There's stuff like services and foodstuffs that you might need. Obviously weapons, it's what you're here for, isn't it? Let's be honest. The main reason people go to the equipment section is to look at the weapons. There's special traits for weapons. Gorgeous tables scattered throughout. Rubber bullets. Yeah. There's things like shields for armor. Here's your weapons tables. You can see there's a wide variety of them here, and they are different and they do different things. There are some role-playing games out there, and I'm not going to name names. We'll bound to cover some of them in the future, but like they might as well just say handgun. These are the stats for a handgun, because it's like, oh, you've got this type of handgun which does these stats. You've got this type of handgun which does the exact same stats as that handgun, because they're the same. Effectively, just one of them is made by one country, one's made by the other. there's just like loads of weapons, including the Lawgiver Mark 1 on here. The kind of iconic Judge gun. There's just like pages and pages of equipment, which is great. Generic drugs, amnesia, appetite inducers if you want to become a fatty with a belly wheel. I'm not far off that myself at the moment. Cybernetics, so kind of replacing organs, or the Mad Dog Angel with his dial on his forehead because of these cybernetic enhancements. Things about requisitioning for different organizations, vehicle rules, just regular vehicles, Justice Department vehicles, civ vehicles, other vehicles. Nice few tables. They're split down into Justice Department, wheeled, hover. There's just absolutely loads in there. It's a really solid, chunky, gritty section on using all of this equipment and fitting it all into the game. I don't think I need to explain about it, not going into too much more depth than that, really. Chapter 5 is all about playing the game. The artwork on the first page of this chapter makes no bones. You'll be killing stuff in this game. It fully explains the dice mechanics to you. Basically, you form your dice pool from relevant attributes and skills, add in any equipment bonus, or indeed any penalty from the equipment, and roll against the set difficulty score. If your roll totals the target or higher, success. If you get 3 6s on your dice roll, it's a critical success. Here's some example tasks, the attributes and skills that are relevant for it. They're really handy if you're a GM. It really does help. Rules for assisting other characters, difficulty benchmarks, critical successes, like I said. Simple lexicon here about tasks. Some examples of common tasks as well that you may take. Things like chases. Chases have always been something that I've tended to shy away from, rules-wise, because they get very bogged down very quickly. But actually, I do really like these rules for chases. Not gonna lie, it's great. You might want to, random engineering tech speak tables. Awesome. In Star Trek, it would be called a technobabble or a treknobabble table. But you've got a huge variety, 4 columns worth, so 66. A D66, obviously not actually 66, I think it's like 36 it works out at. But 36 different options in 4 different columns, which is a lot. I'm not going to do the maths. Actually, I am 36, 72, 144. Yeah, 144 different tech words that you can fit together in a lot of different varieties. You might want to carry out an interrogation. Whether it's a simple interrogation or one which is more coerced. You might want to do some scanning. Who knows? It's your game. Scan away. Scan your little heart content. There's rules here for it. And then we've got countdowns and the role of luck. Luck is essentially a way for you to influence your dice rolls. It improves your odds or decreases an opponent's. It's a finite score that fluctuates through the game, but it can be replenished. So it's like kind of you spend it on a one-to-one basis. You want an additional dice, you spend a point of luck. You want your opponent to have 1 less dice, spend a point of luck. Luck also explodes, which means a roll of a 6, you re-roll and add them together, and they can keep on doing that. It's brilliant. It does recommend using a different coloured dice when doing luck rolls, just so that it's easy to know that's my luck dice, that's the one that can explode. Let's be honest, we've all got loads of different coloured D6s kicking about, so shouldn't be a problem. It's, you know, example actions you could take, but there's this fab little chart table thing here, which gives you combat modifiers and different actions you might take, so that it shows you how it's going to affect the outcome of the roll. Nice range modifier, situation table, melee modifier table, dual wielding rules, damage, hefty list of conditions here. Thankfully it is on just the one page though, so I hope it's included on a player reference table somewhere, available separately, or on a GM screen, because it's always handy to have. But actually, worst case scenario, screen print it and, you know, share it with your group so that they've got it on their phones or tablets at the table, so that they can reference it when they need to, if they need to. No big deal really. You can do that, easy enough. Got illnesses and diseases, because, you know, it's Judge Dredd, things are going to be a bit ropey. If you want to destroy inanimate objects, have at. There's a table for that. Rules about the different environments that you might encounter. Judge Dredd set kind of like after a nuclear apocalypse, so there's some ropey environments out there. And it ends with this single call-out box regarding theatre of the mind combat. Sums it up in a few neat paragraphs. Let's be honest, find suitable maps for a megacity may not be that easy, or for the sections of the megacity that you want to be in, might not be that easy. Rely on theatre of the mind if you can. Like, let's be honest, if your players are going to cheat and go, no, I wasn't there, I was there, because that means that I can hit more people, let them do it. That desperate enough to do that and do well in the game, then, you know, whatever. Right, we're going to take another break. My throat's starting to go a bit dry again. We'll be back shortly. You go maybe have a wee, who knows, or just keep on listening, because I'll be back for you guys in literally. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your little break. I certainly did. Moving on. Chapter 6 is a very, very detailed description of Megacity 1. It's 15.5 pages on Megacity 1 alone, covering such familiar locations as City Hall, the Empire State Building, Kennedy Spaceport, Ape Town, yep, you heard me right, the town, the apes, and the Transatlantic Tunnel. We're also given some key locations beyond the city limits over the next 4 pages, so let me just scoot ahead to that. I mean, look at some of the artwork though as we go. It's just beautiful. And also each chapter, you may have noticed, is a different colour. So if you do have the physical book, it makes it much easier to skip to different chapters. I would imagine. I've never seen the physical book. I'm just guessing different colour pages would be helpful. It's worth mentioning smokatoriums. Tobacco being a controlled substance in Megacity 1. You're only allowed to smoke in buildings known as smokatoriums. Tobacco is even banned in private residences. It's against the law, people. You've got to don a specially designed hazmat suit, which is fitted with a helmet to facilitate the smoking process. The atmosphere inside is so polluted, it's toxic. You know, there's just beautiful things like that. There's Atlantis here, in the Beyond the City Limits section. Britsit, for those of us who are in England, if you want to set it in the British, sorry, tongue got a bit scrambled there. Britsit, which is the British megacity. We've got a close relationship with each other. Trade between the two is boosted by the transatlantic tunnel. There's obviously the Cursed Earth, East Meg 1, Hondo City if you want to be in Japan, Oz, G'day mates, Radback, Sino City 1 and 2, the Titan Penal Colony as well. Some major events in Megacity 1, and then we get this fantastic glossary of Megacity 1 terms. Please get your players to read it, so that they know some of the things that you can fit in there and make it really feel like you're in Judge Dredd. Sorry. Quite a few pages, and finally we get this fantastic table of crimes and the sentences that you'll get for them, the punishment you'll get for them. If you're a perp or just happen to be looking a bit dodgy on the streets, best check you don't have any overdue library books, people, or you can expect a 500 credit fine or up to 3 months in an ISO cube. Nice. Just for not taking that book back. I mean, let's be honest though, there might be someone waiting to read that book. Libraries are dying out. We need to do what we can to protect them, people. This is a public service announcement by Vince. Chapter 7 is the Games Master section. With great advice on running games in one of the megacities, how to create adventures, and starting out the game. I love the idea that it's got in here of this one sheet summary. Basically, it's a one-page overview of the essentials your players need to know before starting off in your campaign. You know, things like any gangs that's going on, that's out there, current crimes that's happening, colourful characters, you know, those sort of things. It should be kept to a single side of paper. Each player should get a copy of their own. And you know, you might want to stick on a couple of pictures on there just to really help set the scene. It's entirely up to you. I do really like that idea though. It's something that I might start doing more of in other role-playing games as well, not just if I was running Judge Dredd. I'm not going to dwell too much on the GM chapter. It's really only for if you plan on being the GM. It is a good chapter though. It's well worth reading as the GM. There are some new bits of information in there that I've never considered before, actually. So, you know, I've been running RPGs since I was 16, I think. Yeah, 16. So 24 years. Oh, Jesus, 24 years. God, makes me feel old. But I've been running them for 24 years, and there's still things in there that I could find that were helpful. Like this one sheet, for example. I love that idea. I'm genuinely stealing it for other games as well. So I'm going to take a bit of a break, and then we'll join back at Chapter 8. Welcome back, guys. Chapter 8 is entitled The Crime Blotter, as you can see on the screen. It's case files, which are short vignettes or little kind of scenarios or mini adventures that the GM can sprinkle into their games. It's not a chapter you should read as a player. You don't want to spoil the surprise. But there's 5 case files in here, incredibly well presented. You've got the setup, essential information for the setup, and then you get a bit where it explains about if it's you're running it for judges, if you're going to be running it for perps, or if you're going to be running it for citizens. Obviously, the game heavily assumes that you're going to be playing as a judge, if you're a player, or you're running it for players of judges if you're a GM. Because it's Judge Dredd, like, you're going to want to be a lawman, aren't you? You're going to want to be one of the judges. So they are very heavily presented in favour of the judges as being the main characters. But these sections about running it for perps and citizens are really handy to use as well. They have thought of everything, really. Like I said, there's 5 of them in here. But just some of the, look at his face, man. That's grim. He's not impressed. You know, just beautiful artwork again, very in keeping with the style of Judge Dredd. I love it. Definitely worth, if you're going to be running, having a read through them, may be useful for you. Now, Chapter 9, as you can see we've moved on to, is your main introductory adventure. And it's called State of the Empire, as you can see. And it's designed to be run for any of the 3 group types, so judges, perps, or citizens. Now, as I've come to expect from EM Publishing, it is a well-written scenario. They do provide well-written scenarios in their books. What I would recommend is having a good read through a couple of times before that you attempt to run it, just so you are familiar with what's going on. It is very introductory, so it is for kind of you know, it is for inexperienced judges, citizens, or perps, so very low level. Don't expect it to be too tasking, because, you know, an introductory scenario won't be. It should never be too tasking, because you want your players to get to know the rules and enjoy the game. Plain and simple. So I'm going to quickly scoot ahead to Chapter 10, because I don't want to ruin an introductory scenario if your GM is going to run it for you. Chapter 10 is our chapter on foes, how to create them, the types of NPCs you may want to throw at your players, whether they be perps, citizens, or judges, or delightfully other. You know, there's really comprehensive rules here for making your own monsters and NPCs and foes. But also kind of like keywords, combined creature statistics, and then a list of NPCs for those different types. Just a little bit of a bugbear. Again, hyperlinking would have been really useful here, because while the list here is broken down by type, they're presented alphabetically. I would have preferred alphabetically by type, but they're not. They're just literally alphabetically, and you need to refer to this table. It's a minor little thing, and it's my one criticism, really, other than the hyperlinking thing. It is my one criticism of the layout of the book. It's not great. It is a little bit more awkward, I think. Although EN Publishing are saying it's, you know, to help you quickly look up the stats that are done alphabetically. Because if you're going to use the table, you're like, right, so I need to find the stats for a mob henchman, which is page 239. But I'm using the PDF. So 239, I then need to kind of add 2 to it, so 241, because our content page is page 5, which is actually page 3 of the book. So I've got to do it, you know, it's just a little bit of a faff on. Or you just literally have like dozens of bookmarks, in which case the bookmark function becomes pretty much pointless on your PDF. If you're doing it physically at the table with a hard copy of the book, you could put index tags in, But again, it's going to get a bit bogged down with those index tags, and it also makes it a little more bulky to carry about. But as you can see, so we've got little blaster turrets, blitz agents, which are hitmen, your average citizens, elsters, in the crop zone, experienced judges, heisters, industrial robots, juvie gang members, med judges. There's a wide range of different kind of, well, foes really that you can pit against your players. I mean, four-armed babe with lots of guns, because she's a mutant. It's not going to go down too well. But like again, the artwork is absolutely stunning. It's so evocative. It is so in keeping with the books as well, like the comics. One of the worrying things when you do this is when you see a game like this nowadays is, are they going to stick to that traditional artwork style? Absolutely they are. They've really done it well. They've done it justice. This brings us to the appendix. The appendix is phenomenal. There's so much in here. It puts other appendices to share in other books. They fit so much in. We've got obviously like all of these tables here about dice pools. There's a walkthrough for character creation. To really step by step breaks it down, makes it easy to do it from a quick reference as well. This fantastic table as well that lets you kind of throw together really quickly on the fly an encounter for your players. Again, it's D66 because the game uses D6s, so why would you have the dice handy at the time? You roll your D66 to find out what perps, or you can just pick from the list. Then you roll from your table to find out what crime they're doing, and then to see where they're doing it. So you could end up with 1d6 petty criminals who are in possession of unlicensed pets in the movie Special Effects Museum. And you've got to go and deal with that as the judges. Or it could be a sub spy who is currently carrying out arson in the university, burning those boots, man. Not cool. Or a rogue psyker who is gambling in the Palais de Bon. That'd be awesome. Oh my god, I want to run some of these random adventures already. This is class. Absolutely love this table. We then get a full page on the Lawmaster. Take note, Mongoose. This is what you could have done. And also a full page on the Lawgiver. The different types of ammunition that you need. Standard execution rounds, rubber ricochets, incendiaries, armor piercing, high X rounds, heat seekers or hot shots. Now, you do have to select them manually in the Type 1, in the Mark 1. Mark 2 had voice selection. Mark 3, but was basically flawed because it could be set to explode in your judge's hand and kill them. Or your Type 3 as well had voice recognition to change them automatically. But again, I just think these two pages are great. You're going to want copies of these either on your players' tablets or phones, or physical copies on the table, so they've got them handy, so they know exactly what to do. It's brilliant. Like, it really is a great idea. And like I said, other games companies could take a leaf out of the book here. If there's something essential or quintessential about the setting that your characters are going to have or be using, give it its own page of reference. Just do it, man. Like, It'll make our lives so much easier. And like, what, one more additional page? Amount. There's also, after this, 4 pre-made judges, so that you are pretty much ready to go out of the book, either for that intro adventure that's in there in chapter 9, or, you know, you've got a group of players, you came up with this fantastic idea for the game, but you just want to get into it and start playing. You don't want to spend time making the characters because it's a one-shot adventure that you want to run, that you've came up with because you've been inspired by the artwork or by an old Judge Dredd story that you read when you were a wee nipper, having stolen the copy of the magazine away from your brother so that you could read it, and then hopefully get it back before he realises and has a go at you and tells you off and maybe punches you in the arm, gives you a bit of a dead arm. Thanks, Alan. Not scarred by that at all. Nope. No. So really, in summary, it's a well-styled book, packed with everything you need, and a little bit more, to play a Judge Dredd themed role-playing game. It's much better than its predecessors have been. Put together by a team who, if they don't love the source material, have really done their homework, and it shows. You know, it's just so well put together. Sorry, white screen takes a while to load if you've not been on it before. I didn't go further than that. So let's quickly scoot back to the start. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's really, really has been an amazing trip down memory lane for me. Oh God, I honestly cannot express how much I've enjoyed reading through this book in preparation for this review. Like, my biggest regret is that EN Publishing didn't get my money for Kickstarter. It's one of those where when the next ones come out, you can bet your backside that I'm going to be in there making sure that I'm like taking part, making sure that I'm buying it at, if not at Kickstarter level, when it's released, because I absolutely love Judge Dredd in 2000 AD. I don't know if I can enthuse enough about it. They've done really well with this. Kudos, job well done, guys. So my last thing really to say is buy it, play it. It's the law. You don't want the judges coming to kick down your door because you haven't. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. We will be doing more RPG reviews. If there's a particular one that you want me to look at reviewing, leave it in the comments. If I can, I will. We've got quite a few to get through, so you know it may be much later that I get to it, but I will eventually try and get round to any requests that people have. Apart from D&D, that's just silly. There's about 1,000,007 books. Can't review them. Too many. But you know, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Kev's going to stick all relevant links in the descriptor below, or better, because I'm not doing that. And all that's left really for me to say is